are grade band specific. Very often, as we develop products, we got feedback from teachers and students that they felt like the products they were using or the materials they had in place were for quote-unquote babies. And we wanted to make sure that the materials they had were actually good, age-respectful, grade band-specific materials. So if it's a high school student, they're going to be exposed to high school materials. If they're an elementary school student, they'll be exposed to elementary school materials. We want to get away from having high school teachers exposing students to, you know, as we say, any books that have talking animals, board books, and keep the materials where they should be kept. Unique comes in 6 different grade bands. We just released a preschool grade band this year. We have 2 elementary grade bands, K through 2 and 3 through 5. We have a middle school grade band, a high school grade band, as well as a transitional grade band that's designed for students who are, depending upon the state, either 11th grade or 12th grade up to the age of 22, or if you're from Michigan, age 26. What I'd like to do is I'd like to walk you through and show you what Unique has to offer, give you some background on the materials you're looking at, and walk you through the complete website. The way that Unique and News to You and Symbol Sticks work are they are a web-based service product, meaning a teacher or a school district would buy the teacher the license to use in his or her classroom, and then the materials would be available for the teacher within that classroom. It's classroom-based, so each license goes to that specific teacher, and we know that the national average for classrooms with children with significant disabilities is about 8 to 10 students per classroom. So we know that when they're using Unique, that they'll be applying it to about 8 to 10 students, depending upon the school or the class size. High school students or high school teachers tend to have more students, and elementary school teachers tend to have fewer, but we see about an 8 to 10 average within the classroom. Unique is aligned to the National Common Core. That's extremely important for us, and it's extremely important for the teachers and the administrators, because you want to make sure that the materials you're presenting to them are, first of all, best practice, and second of all, aligned to the standards. The reason that we take pride in that is the way Unique works is every month a teacher is given a theme for the curriculum. So for example, this month we're working on government. Everyone who's using Unique will be working on materials that surround themselves in government. To make that grade band specific, the elementary school kids are going to be looking at, well, what are the rules of the school? And who are authoritative figures in the school? And why do I have to follow these rules? That type of theme. If we escalate that, we go to the high school level. The high school teachers are going to be talking to the kids about, well, government, and what does it mean to be a citizen? And what does it mean to be a member of this community? And who are authoritative figures in my community? Very similar types of concepts, just age-respectful and grade band specific. So the way it works is that the teacher would get her own login, and when she logs in, or he logs in, the first page they come to is our home page. And this page is where we house all of our RSS feeds. Anything new and exciting that we release, we put in this feed so the teachers are aware of what's available. One of the reasons that I love that we keep the product as a web-based product is, first and foremost, it allows the teachers to have access wherever they are. If they're working from home, if they're bouncing from classroom to classroom, it allows them to have access to the materials and the student data at one easy way. The other reason I love that it's web-based is because it allows us to keep it fresh and to keep it real and to keep it dynamic. As new materials are developed, we just post them in that given year. So if next month we come up with a phenomenal activity that we want to put out there, we're just going to post it live and say, here's a new activity you can use. That will be shown in this news feed that you see in the center of the screen. On the right-hand side, we have the current themes for the month. So right now, this theme for government is in September, and then next month it's going to be life science. The transition topics are September is understanding the laws, and October is making decisions. The transition topics sometimes are different from what the Unique students have, because those transitional students are out of the testing arena and can have some different topics placed before them. The center part of the screen is looking at all the news feeds that happen. So anything that comes new, we post here. On August 30th, we posted new instructional guidelines. The alignment documents, which we'll see in a minute, take these instructional guidelines and actually demonstrate how our lesson plans tie right into the National Common Core standards. So let's take a look at those standards for a moment. On the left-hand side of my screen, I have the controls to get around Unique. The one area I always impress upon teachers and administrators to go and look at and download our alignment tools. You'll notice that we have the instructional targets on the top and the alignment documents here on the bottom. I'm going to open up the ELA alignment document, and these are stored as a PDF. When we get in here, you're going to notice one thing that is really nice. I'll just go to the next screen so you can see it, is on the top we have the Common Core. So here we have for key ideas and details for kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. These are the standards. If I scroll this window down just a little bit, you're going to see those instructional targets. So here we have instructional targets that the teachers could hit from the essence of these standards. The center window are the grade band and lesson plans tied to those. So we actually tie our lesson plans through the instructional targets right to the Common Core standards. And then on the bottom, you're going to see that we have some unique differentiated tasks. One of the really phenomenal pieces that Unique has to offer is that everything in Unique is pre-differentiated for the teachers. We do that to help them teach at that quote-unquote sweet spot. We want the teachers to make sure that they're instructing the kids at that instructional spot that's just perfect for that student. Because if they instruct too high, which we see very often, or they instruct too low, which we also see very often, we get behaviors out of students. If you over-challenge someone, they're going to have behaviors with you. If you don't challenge someone, they're going to get behaviors. So we pre-differentiate the materials. Unique is designed specifically for the teachers who are working with students with the most complex needs. That being said, these are the toughest classrooms because these teachers could have students functioning from a 6-month level up to a second grade reading level. And building materials and having those materials work for those students at that huge continuum of educational instruction is very difficult. So in Unique, the 3 levels we have is level 1. Level 1 students are probably the most significantly impaired students. These are the students that, for the most part, are pre-academic students. They could be 17 years old, but they're functioning at a 10 to 12-month level. Level 1 students inherently are looking at participatory goals. Their goal very often is that they will participate in an activity, not that they will comprehend it. This is an error we see very often in schools where we'll find students who are significantly impaired and the teachers have IEP goals that the student will identify numbers 0 through 20 and identify colors and shapes and letters of the alphabet, when in fact the student's functioning below 12 months, and that's a huge cognitive step for that student to hit those IEP goals. So Unique's pre-differentiated to work with those very, very low students. Then we have a level 2 student. A level 2 student for Unique is a student that's symbolic in nature. These are students that are kind of the more the preschoolish type students, where they're working on letter identification and number identification. These are the students that are very symbolic in nature. They may or may not become readers. Some of these students stay at this level, and they need symbols to decode everything in their world. So everything within Unique is symbol supported. We have to assume that as these students progress, that some of them will pick up sight words, some of them may start reading, but we know many of them will have to have symbol supports to get through life. Then the third level of differentiation is those students that maybe they're reading at a first grade level. Maybe they have commensurate comprehension. Maybe their math skills that are at a kindergarten or a first grade level. The materials in Unique won't exceed a second to third grade math or literacy level. The reason for that is this curriculum is designed for the alt assessment student, and that's where the alt assessment students tend to range. So we do have an in-depth document that shows you how all of our lessons will tie right in to the national standards. So if I go forward this, and we're actually going to get into higher level grades, here we get into middle school or grades 6 through 8, and here you're seeing for craft and structure for Common Core standards for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, at the bottom of this window on the left-hand side, you're looking at those instructional targets from Unique. Middle window, again, is the lesson plans tied right to those, and then differentiation. In all the materials, again, as we get into the curriculum materials within Unique, you'll see the lesson plans are pre-differentiated as well. So this document is available as the standards come out. We're still waiting for science and social studies to come out. As they come out and are developed, we will align the materials with instructional targets to those standards as well. And then on the right hand, you'll notice there's a big purple window on this screen. That window is for as states develop extended grade band standards, they can plug their standards into this document and have a nice one size fits all type document that will show everything on how Unique works through the extended standards up to the National Common Core. The other area I like to show is, again, we're back on the home page, and right below the alignment documents, I have the year topics. Unique knows what it's doing in the future. The development team knows what they want to work on, so we have 3 years planned out from today. The reason we do that is because we write live. So as the materials come up, we start writing those materials. So for the current school year, right now in September, kids are working on government. And next month they're working on a life science unit. And then November is going to be geography. You'll notice we don't post a comprehensive curriculum in December. The reason we don't do that is because we don't think it's realistic to push out reading, writing, math, science, and social studies with pre and post testing in a 2.5 to 3 week window and have any really meaningful instruction and or experience for the kids to grow on. So we give the teachers materials in December, but we don't post it as a comprehensive curriculum. We pick up again in January, and then we end in May. Every summer, we do put out a free summer curriculum that goes live the first Wednesday of June, and those materials are available for 2 months. This past summer, it was the Olympics, where we covered the Special Olympics, the Paralympics, as well as the Olympics that go on every 4 years. As I go back up, the majority of the teachers, when they get into Unique, we have what's called the ULS dashboard, the Unique Learning System dashboard. This dashboard is where the teachers will spend probably 95% of their time. The concept of the dashboard is everything is right there, right on the screen, or right in front of your view, and we kept it that way to help the teachers learn to navigate and to get into these materials. So you'll notice I just clicked on ULS dashboard, and my dashboard pulled up. We are now looking at the very top, it says September lessons, and then across it goes from elementary to intermediate, middle, high, transition, and preschool. Those are the 6th grade bands that are available. For the most part, teachers will only have access to one grade band, the grade band that they're teaching at. So if they're a middle school teacher, they would sign up and get the middle school grade band. Right below that, you'll see I have monthly lessons and core materials. This window that I'm scrolling through right now are all my monthly lessons. So each month, a teacher will have access to 30 different lessons, and within these lessons, we're going to cover reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. Everything in Unique is theme-based. For example, this month, government. I believe the intermediate level has a story about a character, Wally, that goes to Washington, D.C., and he sees all the monuments in D.C., so the teacher has these literacy materials to work with the kids to show them who's Wally and what's in D.C. and what you're going to see in D.C., and he gets to see all the monuments. And after she reads that story, there's some comprehension questions tied to that. Then let's say she wants to work on some math. Well, the math story problems we have are going to be Wally has to order some food. So he has to go up and, with a certain amount of money, order some food. And then there's a story problem that Wally has to take the bus, and he has to get on the bus, and, the first stop, 3 kids get on. The second stop, 5 kids get on. How many kids get on the bus? Wally gets home. When he gets home, he has to expose himself to some writing experience, maybe some journaling. Maybe he has to write some checks for his rent. So everything in Unique that we have the students work on is going to be theme-based, but everything always has an underlying theme of transitional embedded skills that we want the kids work on. So let's take a look at some of the materials. If we open up, for example, the Easy Read book of Going to School, when I click on that PDF, it will open up as a PDF. Now, Unique can be presented to the students in many different formats. It could be paper pencil. It could be on a smartboard. It could be off an LCD projector. It could be presented to them on an iPad or computer. However that student accesses their world, we want to make sure that the instruction can occur at their level. So here we have the lesson plan for this Easy Read book. At the top, you're going to see the instructional targets. As I scroll down through this window, let's make it a little bit smaller. Here's a classroom-based activity. And then right below this is the differentiated task. So if the teacher wants to work with the kids with this Easy Read book, here's that pre-differentiation of how would you work with a level 1, a level 2, or a level 3 student. And on the very next page, and this is brand new for Unique this year, is we've put the connection standard in place. So here we have a little icon that shows the standards connection. This shows how this book will relate right back to the standards with that pre-differentiation. And we give the teacher the ideas and the concepts to promote back to the class. Then we get into the book. So here's a level D book. Each book in Unique is pre-leveled. It allows the teacher to have books written at different levels to expose the kids to materials that they can learn from at their reading level. So here's a level D book. And then as we move through this, we'll move down probably to a level A. Oops. I skipped that. We'll just go to the very end. At the end of every book that we provide for the educator, there is a communication page. It doesn't matter if it's a level book or an Easy Read book, like this book that you're looking at right now, we provide a communication page. The reason we do that is the educators don't have time to make them. They don't have the symbols to make them. This is the Goosen and Crane color coding system of language. This is how the majority of speech pathologists will color code when it comes to developing communication boards for students who are nonverbal. So there we had a book. Now let's go back to those lessons and let's take a look at something a little bit more math related. Let's say the teacher's going to work on measuring at school and they want to work with some tools. Here we have Measure It. I open up this activity. It's going to look just like the other one where we have the lesson plan that describes what's going on. It gives us the instructional targets. And then I get right into the activity with stimuli provided. A little smaller so you can see more of it. Notice how everything is symbol supported. Okay? So in each window, right now I'm in the elementary band, each window I have these academic materials. Again, reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. One of the stress points, the pain points, teachers who work with the students always have, they come back to us and say, yes, we understand. We know we have to expose them to the standards. We get that. But we really care about transitional skills. We really care about life skills. How can we make sure that we're hitting those and they're hitting them at a good rate? So one of the things that we've done is we've created, right next to monthly lesson plans, I have core materials. Core materials are the materials that the teachers want to work on within the classroom. So for example, at this elementary school level, they might be talking about the weather. Circle time activity, and it's time for them to talk about the weather for that day. We give them the materials to use. Again, we give them transitional goals they can be hitting, instructional targets tied to those, and we'll move right into this, and here's the weather report for today. The teacher could print this off, laminate this, use this on a smartboard, however she or he would want to use it in the classroom. Different clothing you can wear for different weather activities. If the teacher's worried about using if we go and look at some activities. Here's movement circle activities. Here we have materials that the teacher could use to have the students sequence washing their hands. Again, pre-differentiated. So if we're looking at having them wash their hands, it could be where they just have to read it, and the teacher removes the symbols. Maybe the students need those symbols, so the teacher can add those. Maybe the student really needs the symbols and the numbers to help sequence that activity. So there's washing the hands. As I move forward through this, I can have them look at pictures. So if I have a student that's very concrete, we give them photographs that they can draw from. We also have washing your face, as well as brushing your teeth. So at each grade band, we give the teacher the materials to use for monthly lessons as well as core activities. As I escalate this and we get into middle school, for example, let's take a look at the level book, for example. Again, level book, grade band specific, age respectful. So here we have a level book about choosing freedom, lesson plan tied to this book, the standards connection tied to that, high frequency words the student will be exposed to, so the teacher can build word walls for the month and have those students work on those word walls. So free to choose. Now, one thing you're going to notice, the elementary school books, the characters in those books look very cartoonish. As we moved up into this, you can see that, in fact, they become much more age respectful. Again, this is a level book. We'll move it down a level to level A, which is going to be a repetitive sentence. Then we'll move it down again one more level to level AA. This is the lowest book. This will be a picture book, one picture and usually 1 to 2 words. And at the end of the book will be a core materials also expand as the kids progress forward. So here we are with middle school students. Let's take a look at that grooming materials again. That grooming check now went from the kids at the elementary school level learning how to brush your teeth and wash your hands and wash your face. And here at the middle school level, well, now it's just kind of a self-initiated check of, how do I look today? These core materials don't go away out of our lives. I always, when I work with teachers and I train them, I ask them a simple question. When you left the house this morning, did you do a grooming check? Did you look in the mirror? Did you wash your face? Did you cover all these areas? People think about it throughout the day, like, I did all that. Our students are learning that as well. We want to make sure that we're giving the teacher the materials to instruct and to collect data. So the top window of Unique is everything academic. As I scroll the big window down and we get to the bottom window, we have our data collection tool. Each student in Unique will be entered into the system and will have the ability to have an informal and a formal assessment run throughout the school year, looking at how are they doing, where are they right now, and where can I take them as an instructor. So each student has what we refer to as a GPS. GPS stands for goals, preferences, and skills. This is a massive tool that we started developing 2 years ago, and we continue to develop right now. Each student will have a profile. First and foremost, every student in Unique has to be profiled because we want the teachers to be able to identify, at least from an informal assessment, of where is the student functioning in these 22 areas. From word decoding to number sense to number operations, calculations, communication, behavioral, we have the teacher just give us some sort of descriptor of where is the student currently functioning. It takes about 15 minutes per student per year to do this. So it's not a big task, but it gives you some phenomenal things to look at. So if I look at Joshua's ability for word decoding, I look at the sheet and I say, based upon my knowledge of Joshua, where is his current word decoding skills? I come in here, I can click off, you can identify rhyming words. I can save that. And you'll notice I now have his present level of performance. Here is my informal assessment of where Joshua is currently functioning for word decoding. We then give the teacher a suggested strategy. This is the next step the student has to take to get better at word decoding. If the teacher wants to morph this into an IEP goal, they can click Add Goal and take that suggested strategy and modify it into an IEP goal. They now have an IEP goal that's tied right back to that student's present level of educational performance with the sequential step in place of what should happen. I think that is a phenomenal tool for teachers to have at their fingertips. Joshua, I also have the ability to benchmark him. So at the beginning of the school year, I could benchmark him for his reading and writing and math. Again, when we're looking at these skills, we're looking at functional skills. So when we look at math, we don't care if these kids can identify the Pythagorean theorem or show us the volume of a triangle. It would be phenomenal if they could, but if they could, they're probably not alt assessment kids. What we care that our students can do is that they could actually go in and identify money, and tell time and calculate the time. So we have the profile, informal assessment, the benchmarking. I'm just going to show you one of these really quick. If I want to test the student for uppercase letter recognition, I can run a test. We have two levels of test. Whenever we have to have the student respond to us verbally, we have two options. Either they can say something verbally, or if they're a nonverbal student, we give them 3 different closure activities to use. So if I'm working with a nonverbal student and I click version B and I begin the test, it's going to say, show me the letter D. Show me the letter E. If I get enough wrong in a row, it will single me out. I'm getting too many right. So I got a score of 9. I now have interpretation of this data. Everything's out of 18, so I got 9 right out of 18. Again, if I want to modify this into a goal, I have the ability to write a goal based upon the student's testing performance for the uppercase letter identification. Also within the GPS, we give the teacher the ability to look at the core rubrics. For us, core rubrics are the transitional skills. So I want to know from kindergarten up through that transitional age of 22, what can they do? What can they demonstrate for me? How many prompts do I have to give them to use the tool appropriately to comb their hair or brush their teeth? Whatever we're working on, I want to see what that prompt level is and how successful they are in this activity. And then finally, every month, the teacher has the ability to pre- and post-test these students. What's phenomenal about this is, just like the gen ed teachers, I can pre-test the class. What do you guys know about government right now, about following rules right now? Work with the materials throughout the month, and then at the end of the month, post-test the kids to see, well, where'd you go? How much did you learn? How effective was my instruction? And I can look at this longitudinally. So if I go back to last school year, and I punch the student in as a middle school student, you're going to see a graph that will come up that will show me month to month to month how the student did in the previous school year. Parents love these at IEPs. The feedback we get from parents is, this is phenomenal. I'm seeing them make gains every month in all these different areas. Even if the student is a level 1 student who is significantly impaired, we can demonstrate that they have growth. It could be as simple as reducing the amount of prompts it takes to keep them on task. So we have the ability to actually do that with the students as we move them through the material. So that's the second big piece of unique. And then finally, the third piece that I always mention to people is on the right-hand side, we have a phenomenal wealth of instructional tools or monthly tools that the teacher can use at his or her disposal. It may be that she wants to work with the parapros to have them better understand what does a participatory level student look like. It may be that she just needs some stimuli for numbers or for money or for time. We provide all these materials for the teacher to use. So for example, let's say the teacher needs a math pack for shapes. You notice it says new right next to it. When I open this up, it's going to be a pretty lengthy PDF of different stimuli and different shapes. So here we have 43 pages of different shapes the teacher can expose the students to. So what Unique has to offer to the classroom teacher and to a district is that it will give the teacher and that district a comprehensive curriculum that's aligned to the standards. It gives them data collection. It also gives you a consistent, repetitive level of instruction. Our students thrive on consistency, and they need a phenomenal amount of repetition. As the kids progress through Unique, they can be transitioned from teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher, and all this data will follow them through time. Versus what happens right now is the students, say, in the Chicago Public Schools, may go from one middle school to another middle school, and absolutely no data is moved with that student. The teacher starts over because she doesn't know what was worked on and what that student's current goal set is. Okay, let's go back, and now let's take a look at News2. News2 is the flagship product for N2Y. This was developed by Jackie Clark about 15 years ago. She's a speech pathologist, and she says, I want to make some materials that I can use in therapy that looks at current events. When we communicate to each other, about 80% of everything we say to one another is current events related. It might be the weather. It might be a sports team activity. It might be something that was on TV. But 80% of what we communicate is current events related. When students hear current events activities, the way they learn changes because they're much more interested in it, as are we. If I was to sit here and start talking about the Roman conquest, people would probably lose interest pretty fast unless you were really interested in that topic. But if I was to start talking about the Chicago Public Schools going on strike, or the presidential race and what's going on in that, that might actually interest you more because it's current events related. So Jackie developed the News2 newspaper. Again, it's a subscription-based service. The teacher gets a login for her classroom. The speech pathologists are also involved with this at a higher amount. And what we see with this is we see the ability to give some really deep, language-rich instruction on current event activities. I'm just going to open up one of the newspaper. Here's the regular edition of the newspaper. Oops. So Finding Nemo 3D is coming out, and also the Lifesavers, 100 Years of Lifesavers. When I open this up, it will open up as a PDF. And here I have a 21-page paper that, again, is symbol supported, that will walk the students through what's going on with the Lifesavers. There's always a recipe, there's always a knock-knock joke, there's always games involved with it, there's always reviews, comprehension activities. Each newspaper, so throughout the school year, the teacher will have access to 41 editions of the newspaper. So it averages out to be about 3 to 4 newspapers a month throughout the school year, and then 2 to 3 in the summer. It gives the teacher materials to use as extension activities. If you need the newspaper in different levels, we offer that. We have the simplified level, which is a very, very low-level newspaper. It then will escalate all the way up to a newspaper written for a third grade level. So here's that simplified version. Here's that same recipe, the same knock-knock joke, but the reading level and expectations of the student have been dropped dramatically. If I take it up to the advanced level, you're going to notice that it won't be symbol supported anymore. And we get into photographs. We make it look more like the U.S. today. So as the students are engaged with this material, it looks much more age-respectful and written at their level. If you need it in Spanish, we offer to do it in Spanish as well. You'll notice next to the newspaper, after I close this one, there's a blue button that says the speaking edition. Anything unique that is a book or the newspaper, anything in the newspaper and or unique that is a book or the paper can have synthesized speech tied to it and have the students interact with the book independently. One of the great features of News2 that we also offer is World News. World News is updated about 3 to 4 times a week. And what we do is, if something big's going on that just happened, we'll mention it, we'll write a very short 2 to 3 page story about it, and we'll post it on using Google Maps for the teachers to talk about of what's going on. So for example, the Paralympics end, we use Google Images to talk about where it was going on, and then we give the teachers a short news clip of what happened to expose the kids to. One of the other areas you notice is when you're home, on the home page of the News2 newspaper, is we turn this into, for lack of a better word, kind of a circle time activity to use, or beginning of the day activity to use, where we talk about the day, the weather, today in history, anything that the teacher may be exposing the kids to. We give them the opportunity to use the newspaper to say, well, let's see what the weather's like today, or let's see what's going on in the world news. It's a gadget tool, so you can actually add your own gadgets to it to have the kids work with it as well. Each newspaper, if you were to print off all the materials within the newspaper, you're looking at roughly 200 to 250 pages of material. So for example, if the teachers need materials for holidays, we have it done. We have every holiday you could think of. And if we're missing one, let us know and we'll create it for you. So here we have the holidays for the year. When it comes to worksheets, we give the teacher a ton of worksheets to use in the classroom. All these will be tied back to the paper and to the content of that paper, so the teacher's using materials that's specific for that newspaper, so it all ties together as a nice seamless instruction for the educator. Okay, in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about SimpleStix Online, the third and final product that we offer. If you subscribe to News2You or you subscribe to Unique, we give you access to use all of our symbols. So roughly right now, the last count I heard is we have roughly 15,350 some symbols that you can have access to. The reason we do that is because we want to make sure that the classroom teacher or the speech pathologist that's using our curriculum has access to the same symbols they're seeing in the newspaper or the curriculum to build extension materials from. If I'm looking for a specific thing, so for example, if I need to find a football theme or a football symbol, if I just search for football, it's going to pull up tons and tons and tons of different football symbols for me to use. The reason that we put these out here in this format is because we don't care how the teacher gets a hold of these materials, that they do and that they use them. So right now they could use them in SimpleStix Online. If I wanted to create a communication board, for example, if I need to create a template board for Go Talk 20, I could name this football, create it, and now on the left-hand side, you're going to notice I now have a symbol called football. It's just a blank template for Go Talk 20. When I go back, and let's say I need the symbol for, let's see, the Bears are playing tonight, I'll stick that symbol here. It now drops into there. I could put the 20 symbols I want to use. When I go back to my template, I just click it and drag it and drop it in and label it. What we wanted to do is make this as simple as possible. We wanted to adhere to the Microsoft 90-10 rule. 90% of us only use 10% of Microsoft Word, Office, Power that's out there. It goes same for the teachers. A lot of teachers utilize BoardMaker with the PCS symbol library. You're only using the focus that I've shown you as finding a symbol, sticking it on a communication board, and printing it off. We wanted to keep it very, very simple. With SimpleStix Online, if you don't want to use BoardMaker, if you don't like our templates, you can import the symbols into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, any other application. If you can copy and paste, you can copy the symbol and paste it. There are no restrictions on how you use these symbols. One of the other nice features is that we will create any symbol you need. So if there's a symbol that you're looking for that isn't out there, so let's say I go and I'm looking for a symbol for, monster. And I open it up, it's going to pull up different types of monsters from the movie Monsters, Inc., the Cookie Monster. If there's a specific monster that you're thinking of that you know the kids have been reading about, give us a call, say, could you do the symbol for us? If it's a symbol that's in high demand, we'll draw it, we'll drop it into the library and let the public know that it's available. What's great about this is that it takes the onus off of the speech path and the teacher to try and find the symbols, and we just create them for you. So if you need a symbol for Justin Bieber, he's already created. Now, with our symbols, one of the things that we do is that if it's a person, we draw that person to their likeness. But if it's a thought or a concept or a communication idea, so for example, run, you'll notice the reason they're called SimpleStix is because we keep the symbol as sterile as possible. So the first row, second guy over from the left, I have him running. No face, because the first thing you look at when it comes to any symbol is it has a face. You're going to look at that face. No clothing, because we don't need to clothe this. We need to demonstrate what the person's doing, not if they're wearing green pants and a yellow shirt. So we keep the symbols very, very clean. If it's a symbol that has to talk about more than one, we just draw multiple symbols within that picture to communicate a race or runners. If we have have to pluralize that symbol. Okay, so to keep everything on time, I'm going to open up my chat window now, and I'm going to open up to any questions that you have. We are a couple minutes early, but it's perfect timing. Do you have any questions regarding Unique, regarding News2You, or regarding symbol sticks? As you're thinking of those questions, I'll give you some pricing. Unique, the cost per classroom is $429 per classroom for the year. That gives you access to the materials from August all the way through the summer materials. It gives you access to the GPS and everything that you saw today. News2You is $149 per classroom per year. And then Symbol Sticks Online is free for anyone who subscribes to either News2You or Unique Learning Systems. Okay, I'm going to look at some questions I have right now. One of them was a tech question about the phone. Hopefully that was resolved. And another one was about not having any volume, and I hope that was resolved. If not. If you need to contact me, if you have questions that you want to go deeper with me, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. My name is John Standel. I'm the Director of Sales for the company. I'm a speech pathologist by training. My email is john, John, at N2Y1.com. And my cell phone number, which is the best way to reach me usually, is area code 414-916-2725. And if you didn't have time to write that down, don't worry. You can go right to our website, and my contact information is listed right at the website. Okay, I'll just check to see if there's any questions coming in. There was a question about adding this webinar. If you recorded this webinar and you want to add it to your school library for training, feel free. We also on our website have pre-recorded webinars and a help center that will demonstrate how to use the materials. So when you're on the Unique website or the News2You website, I'll do it from Unique because it's easier. At the top of the window, we have webinars. Some of these webinars are pre-recorded. Some of these webinars are live webinars, as the one you're attending right now. If you need help, at the top of the website, there's also a help button. When you click that, a new page will pull up, and this is our support center. Anything in our support center will be forum-based and answered either by the development team or the training team to answer your questions. If you're looking for just basic support, we have knowledge books on everything I just covered right now, but they're obviously much more in-depth. All right, if there's any other questions, I'll wait for about another minute. Otherwise, I'll start wrapping up the webinar. Okay, I don't see any other questions popping in. I'd like to thank everyone for attending the webinar, and I'm hoping everyone has a nice, comfortable